believe it or not, there's a lot more to React and JavaScript and CSS and everything else than we had time to cover in a mere 3 weeks. So on the notes for today, there are lots of resources for continued learning. Some of them are just like learning more about JavaScript, understanding it better, you can go to practice things like Code Wars and HackerRank and Exorcism. There are large parts of React, of course, that we never covered. Prop types is one that does some type checking on your props. That's really common to use. The context API I referred to a day or two ago, which is one of the solutions to passing props down through multiple components. If you have some data that you need kind of all over the place, as we've seen, that gets to be a little bit of a pain in the neck. We're passing props down through components that aren't even using them, just so they can pass them down to another one that's further down the tree. The context API, there's always been a context API, but it was radically changed in the last couple of point releases. So the new context API is a pretty good solution to that thing. So here are several different resources for learning that. One of these includes a video I know, and here's the official docs. Redux, I mentioned, is another thing that people reach for when they have that problem. If you have, if your data is at all complicated, if managing state becomes complicated, you might want to use a whole different data store, and Redux is the most common alternative for React. So here's the actual README on reduxjs.org. Learn Redux is a free video series by Wes Bos, who did JavaScript 30, which was listed on the things you could do before you came. Introduction to State Management with Redux. The Wes Bos video series on Redux, you build an Instagram clone. It uses an old version of React Router and a slightly older version of React, but it's not wildly different. But React Router is pretty different. But Redux hasn't changed that much. It's still a really good lesson for that stuff. CSS. I've talked a little bit about Flexbox for layout on a number of occasions, but here's some really good resources for that. Yes, Wes Bos has a free video series on Flexbox 2. People sponsor these video series, is how he's able to do them for free. He has paid series as well for things like Node. An animated guide to Flexbox, complete guide to Flexbox on CSS tricks, which I opened in class several times. Grid is an even newer layout feature of CSS that is now widely supported by the latest versions of all the current browsers. Obviously not in things like IE9 or whatever, but you can use it now. There are fallbacks for Flexbox and other things too. And here are some good resources for that. Rachel Andrew is kind of the authority on this topic. So here's her website that has videos and presentations and conference talks and everything. Wes Bos has a brand new CSS Grid video tutorial that is also free. I didn't even know that until this morning when I started compiling these links. But he has one there, so I intend to watch that myself. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So keep learning, keep it up, maintain your knowledge. Hopefully, even if the React stuff even if you forget that stuff, hopefully you've learned a little bit about how to actually approach designing an application when you have requirements. Because we were starting from a blank slate with this stuff, right? And we built a whole thing that is a not completely terrible clone of a pretty major application. And I'm kind of amazed how far we got in such a short time. Hopefully without leaving the entire class in the dust, understanding-wise. But there's a lot more to learn. Keep it up, keep studying, and it'll give you a huge advantage over your peers when you do graduate, if you already have experience building real stuff. So come up with projects of your own, make a Twitter client or whatever, Use your imagination. Do something cool. You have the tools, and I believe in you.